Hey, how's it going? I'm IlaGolden and welcome to my vlog. So, Fanfluations, the YouTube edition. Yay! um, this should be interesting. So, obviously, you guys have worked out that at some point during this week, either before this video or after this video, because this video comes out on Friday, so there's still days of this week left, depending on how you see a week. Will have been my birthday or will be my birthday. Not going to clarify when my birthday is. You either know or you don't, and we're just going to leave it at that. So, a little bit of a brief online history for me. My initial ways onto the interwebs was shortly before I started university, and that was by joining the South Park forum. Shortly thereafter, when I sort of went off to university, and in an attempt to keep up to date with Yu-Gi-Oh episodes, despite losing the means by which I had to watch said episodes, I joined the Yu-Gi-Oh fans forum, which, as those who know about the Tales Saga will know, that is kind of how I came to write the Tales Saga in a lot of ways. But it was through people on that site that I got introduced to YouTube. Very much the sort of first wave of things for me with the whole YouTube thing was being able to watch episodes in particular of anime or cartoons, because My Little Pony, Friendship of Magic was kind of amongst those things at the time as well. Yeah, it was a way of watching episodes of that I may not have otherwise had access to, and again, it was alongside lots of other different streaming for sites. So it was just like one of many things, but it was through that I sort of discovered AMVs. And with my personal channel, not this one, my personal one, I did actually do a lot of AMV making myself during my early days on YouTube. But yeah, I'd say sort of my first stage with YouTube was very much sort of watching stuff that I couldn't gain access to anywhere else and enjoying fan stuff. Because I'm all about the fan stuff, as we well know. As I mentioned in some of the other Fanfluations, that part of the reason I enjoy something is as much for the fan stuff as it is for the actual thing itself. Then I'd say my sort of second phase with YouTube would be when I sort of first started discovering the various content creators, and it was very much the parody ones that I kind of appealed to me. So people like Little Crebo and Adam West Lapdog with their abridged series. I guess Adam West Lapdog is a bit more of an obscure one. But honestly, his stuff is really good. It is still really good when I sort of occasionally go back and sort of watch various bits and pieces. But yeah, it's very much like parodies, and sort of, I think it's around this sort of time I also sort of started getting into people like the Nostalgia Critic and Brental Floss with their various different forms of entertainment. So the idea of being into sort of reviewers and, like whether it's serious or parody or whatever, I think I think very early on, entertainment was what I kind of demanded out of my YouTube watching, whether it was to allow me to enjoy a form of entertainment I might not get elsewhere, through streaming various episodes of things, or entertainment because it was somebody else sharing the passion for something that I had and showing their creativity around it, so the AMV things, or entertainment because I'm somebody I've always enjoyed parody and sketches. So being entertained in that sort of way sort of kind of made sort of sense. So yeah, my first two sort of phases with YouTube, and they were kind of intermingled, and I'd still say that all of my phases through YouTube always sort of blended a little bit together, and I still watch a lot of the stuff that I used to watch back then. I still really enjoy Little Crebo. But yeah, my first two phases were sort of very basic, sort of very primitive, well, kind of in comparison to, YouTube is now my main source of entertainment, whereas back then it was kind of more my tertiary form of entertainment because I still had TV that I watched quite regularly, and that I considered my sort of main source of entertainment, TV and films. Whereas now it's sort of like, yeah, YouTube, and then maybe films, and then maybe TV. It's just kind of always like flipping on its head. Whereas before it's like, TV was kind of my main thing. So it was during this sort of second phase, whilst I was like my final year of university, that I did a project, a presentation type project. And my thesis was very much inspired by the moral of an episode of South Park. I can't remember the name of the episode, which is annoying because I'm really big into South Park and I used to know there are too many episodes to remember them all by name now, and it's been too long and I can't remember exactly what the episode title was. So the sort of lesson, moral, whatever you want to call it, of this particular episode was the idea that internet fame and internet content creators, although the internet was a great platform even at that point for people sort of getting their work out there, it wasn't a great format for people getting money and being able to survive off of that fame, however that fame is sort of presenting itself to itself, whatever. I can't remember the exact quote, but I used it as sort of like the beginning of my presentation, and my thesis was basically the idea that online entertainment would go from being this thing that is sort of like that has all this potential to being a legitimate way of entertaining people and a legitimate career path for people. That was kind of the thesis that I was sort of going with, that although at that point in time it hadn't reached that point yet, that's where it was going, and that's why this sort of quote kind of worked quite nicely. I think. I don't know how good my presentation actually was. It was all right. I was clever with it. So yeah, with that sort of in mind, at that point I probably didn't really think, how long was it going to take for things to sort of really sort of go that kind of way. But it definitely did. It definitely did. And I entered my sort of third phase or my third sort of watching phase for how I sort of enjoyed watching YouTube or what I was watching on YouTube, sort of as you got that changeover from it not being a viable platform for sustaining people to starting to become a viable platform for sustaining people. I mean, it's not the most stable of career paths for anyone, and I'm mostly doing these vlogs for getting my name out there to try and help promote my writing career rather than trying to make money off of YouTube itself. I know that's a very difficult thing to do even now, well, especially now with various things that I'm aware of having gone on in the last year or so. But I sort of entered into this third phase really at sort of the point of time where that sort of future of entertainment was starting to take shape, and I do think YouTube should be taken seriously as a future source of entertainment for people. I think it's it's important for people to kind of realize that these are, a lot of them, creative and talented people on this platform that are trying to get themselves to the point where they want to be with their lives and with their careers, and whether it's like me where they're using it as sort of a subsidiary kind of thing to sort of promote something else and to sort of boost some other part of their lives, or whether it's this is what they want to do and this is how they want to make a living for themselves. It doesn't matter. The fact is YouTube is this amazing platform that I think people are kind of have spent a long time sort of underestimating, and they need to stop doing that. So let's go into this third wave of me on YouTube and what I watch. So it very much started 5-6-ish sort of years ago. It was very much sort of prompted, although although a lot of it was sort of very much in keeping with the kind of things that I was watching anyway. So like the review stuff, the parody kind of stuff, and that sort of thing. I specifically sort of took this path because of the person I was dating at the time, who happened to be a very avid gamer, and it was sort of my way of kind of, although I've always enjoyed video games and I had a good or a reasonable knowledge of video games, I wasn't necessarily up to date or up to speed with everything in the whole sort of vast world of video games that there is, and there's huge gaps in my knowledge. So very much start as a way of learning more about gaming culture and the various things that are out there and the various things that people can be into without, having to play every single video game there ever was. Don't get me wrong, I do love playing video games, and the video games that I do play, I do really enjoy playing. I also enjoy watching other people play video games. So that's one, if anybody ever wonders why I watch things like GT Live and Peanut Butter Gamers gaming channel, it's because I do enjoy watching other people play video games. Sometimes I enjoy that more than I enjoy playing the video games myself, because there is something about, and I think it comes down to, I used to watch my older brother play video games and sort of help him out a little bit, like spotting things that he didn't necessarily spot or whatever. So yeah, the whole idea was that I was going to increase my knowledge about video games but doing it in my way, doing it in my own way, without sort of compromising my own form of entertainment to sort of get into this. I was kind of like, well, no, there are top 10 lists, because I was watching a lot of top 10 lists at that time, and that was a good way of sort of giving me sort of like an introduction to various things. And it was through those sort of top 10 lists that I discovered a couple of the content creators that I watched. Now I'm pretty sure it was through a top 10 list that I discovered Peanut Butter Gamer, and I think Cad Icarus as well. Sort of, there was a top 10 list there somewhere that I sort of happened upon and found his stuff sort of that way. And then, like the reviewers, like the Completionist. I'm not completely sure how I stumbled across his stuff, but it was somewhere in amongst something that I saw, and then I sort of went to and then got into it from there. Certainly or obviously the one that sort of had the biggest impact on me, and probably is my go-to source of entertainment, was game theory. And I distinctly remember that it was one of the Final Fantasy game theories. There weren't a whole lot of them back when I first got into game theory, but it was definitely one of the Final Fantasy ones that sort of caught my eye, and I don't quite remember why it caught my eye, but I watched it a couple of times and watched some of the others a few times as well, and then that was sort of what I first started introducing my then partner to sort of try to find things that we could enjoy that were video game related, and that was very much one of the first things I kind of introduced him to, was game theory. And I think since that sort of point, it became very much a big part of my entertainment. And yes, the channel has changed, and yes, he's done lots of stuff, and I watch the film theory, and I like watching the GT Live archive, because I'm not very often up, unfortunately, to watch it live. So it's really exciting when they do an early live stream and I can be there, and I'm like, yay! This doesn't happen very often. I'm in the wrong part of the world for that. But yeah, no. So I mean, it's just sort of like, there was something about the way the videos were presented back then and about how they're presented now that sort of keeps me coming back to it. And I know a lot of people sort of, and this is the part where I'm going to talk specifically about game theory. I know there are a lot of people out there who kind of like, oh, the older videos were better, or oh, he sold out for this, that, or that other reason, and it's kind of like, yes, it's his style has changed and matured, and kind of want that, don't you? it would be really sad if we were living in a world where content creators were not allowed to grow and expand. I mean, all the content creators that I watch have changed over the years that I have watched them, and doesn't mean they will always change for the better, doesn't mean that I enjoy every single thing that they do. But my way of looking at it is I would much rather watch an episode of something that I find entertaining or amusing or engaging than I would watch something that is always the same and is boring and dull and doesn't take risks. And doesn't, not everything is going to land, not everything is going to be good. I mean, there are episodes of The Completionist that I've watched that I haven't enjoyed because they've been boring. Or because they've been too cringy. Yeah, he occasionally can be too cringy. Just some of the jokes can just be too cringy, and if it's a particular game that I'm not particularly interested in anyway, then the cringe can put me off a little bit. But that doesn't mean that I won't enjoy next week's episode. I look at it like that. There are always going to be bad episodes and everything. There are TV shows and movies and whatever that series, whatever. There are always going to be bad ones in that. Not everything is going to land perfectly. Not everything is going to be as good as everything else, and you've got to sort of expect that. So I'm much more forgiving of that than I think a lot of people are. And as I said, for me, a bad episode is a boring episode. It's not an episode that I necessarily disagree with, because if there's something in it that I haven't liked for a particular reason, or it's made me feel something for a particular reason, that's still a good episode because it's getting you to respond to it. A bad episode is an episode that doesn't get any response out of you, that you have no interest in sort of watching or thinking about again. So as I said, very much with the whole game theory side of it, he has boring episodes occasionally, and those are the ones I don't like. Everything else, I'm sort of like, yeah, no, that's absolutely fine. I don't get why people get so hung up about, oh, this wasn't 100% right, or why is he doing only the theory ones, the law-based ones, and what happened to all like the math ones? It's kind of like, well, I don't always find the math ones more boring, because some of the math ones have been really, really interesting, but I do find the law ones more interesting. That is just my personal preference on it. That's probably the storyteller in me. But my way of looking at it, and this is kind of how I look at a lot of things, and I think I have been in the past a student of literature, and one of the things I've always been taught is if you can justify your argument, you can argue anything. And that's how I kind of look at game theory. If he can justify what he is saying, if he can find even the smallest bit of evidence to back up what he is saying, and he can sort of justify it, and he can do it in an interesting way, that's a good episode. That is an amusing episode. And as somebody who enjoys looking at things in a different way anyway, and enjoys questioning the nature of stuff anyway, and takes a certain amount of pleasure in the idea of there's more than one interpretation of a text, and there's more than one way of reading a text. The idea that somebody is presenting me with this argument, and yeah, okay, there may be holes in the argument, but that's not the point. The argument is entertaining. I have been entertained by this argument, and I feel the argument has been justified. Therefore, where's the problem? I don't have to agree with the argument, but I don't see the problem with that. So yeah, I think that's very much my sort of thoughts, and why I do keep going back to game theory, and why it is probably my biggest source of entertainment, because A, it's entertaining, which your entertainment has to be entertaining for you to keep coming back to it, right? And B, he appeals to that, or the shows, because that's not just the Matt Pat himself that I watch. I do watch the other theorists on the channel as well, and I feel the same about all of their content. And it's like, if I'm entertained, if I'm able to take something away from this content that has made me think either positively or negatively, If, if I feel like the argument has been justified and, that there has been some thought put behind it, then it's a good episode. If it's boring, I take nothing away from it. If I've forgotten I've even watched it the second that I've watched it, then it's a bad episode. And it's not just, like game theory and film theory and that's how I view all my entertainment. If I take nothing away from this piece of entertainment, then it is bad. Because entertainment, speaking as a writer, is there to leave an impact on its audience. If it's not leaving an impact on its audience, it's not doing its basic job. And YouTube is very good. All the content creators that I watch on YouTube, whether it's the Brony analysts, whether it's the gaming content that I watch, whether it is the AMVs that I used to watch, or the fan made music that I entertain and indulge myself in, whether it's any of that stuff, if it leaves an impact on you, whether it's a positive impact or a negative impact, it has done its job and it has entertained. You can be entertained in a negative way, but it has entertained. If you've not been left with an impact or an imprint of it, then it's not done its basic job and as being entertainment. And that's when you have a problem, and that's when you should take issues with it. I hope that makes kind of sense. As I said, YouTube is sort of my main source of entertainment now, so I do get a little bit weird and passionate about it, I think, maybe. But, I think there are a lot of content creators and there are a lot of, people out there using this platform in the right ways, to do the right things, and to entertain. And if that's all they're doing, then, good for them. Because I definitely think the future of entertainment lies in embracing all the platforms rather than just saying, no, this is proper entertainment and this is just garbage. That's bad. That's bad arguments. I think we need everything. I think we need video games. I think we need books. I think we need radio. I think we need TV and film and the internet. And I think, if we can embrace all that and whatever else is to come, like stage plays. I forgot the stage. I'm sorry, stage. I forgot the stage. But I think, whatever it is, however entertainment changes and grows and evolves, we need to embrace all of it. We need to look to the past and to the future and let everything entertain us. And this is turning a bit preachy, so I'm going to stop now. I hope you guys have kind of got an idea of my sort of history on YouTube, as it were. I am a FNAF fan because I am a game theory fan and not the other way around. But I'm glad that I'm a FNAF fan because I'm a fan of fan-made music, or the fan-made music that I'm a fan of is because I'm a fan of FNAF and I'm because of YouTube. So, YouTube has had a big impact on my life and the direction in which things have kind of gone. But anyway, enough preaching. Let's go to next time. So next time, I think I'm going to be doing sort of a brief sort of updatey kind of one. Obviously, changes have occurred on this channel. Certain things that were going have stopped going, and certain things have taken more of a prominent role. And I'd like to explain why. I would like to explain why. I mean, I've mentioned on my Twitter and on my Facebook page that I stopped one of the shows that I just started doing, but I'd like to explain to you guys why I think you guys deserve an explanation as to why I've decided to take my channel in this direction. Anyway, so that will be next time. I hope you guys have kind of enjoyed this one and it's not been too sort of preachy and random and directionless, which it might have been. Anyway, I will see you guys next time. See ya. If you've enjoyed this video, feel free to check out some of my others, and if you like what you see, please like and subscribe. See ya!